I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
All right. Welcome back, everyone, to episode 75 of the Best Thing We've Seen podcast. My name is Flo.
And I'm Gabe. How are you?
Still funny to me. I don't know why. I'm doing okay, but how are you doing?
I'm fine. I'm tired. I took the liberty of taking a little nap just now. I feel refreshed, but tired as well. It's a paradox. But apart from that, I'm pretty good. And there's quite a bit of new stuff to talk about that we, for once again, we both saw.
Right. We've been, this is a stacked week. I mean, I don't know how many things you have, but I have I think this might be my most stacked episode yet.
Oh, really? I didn't think I should watch even more because we alone just watched two things together, and then there's another thing that finished this week, which I watched.
Right.
And I thought I'd better save anything else for the coming weeks.
Oh, same thing. I could have watched more even, but yeah. No, you definitely know we have three things in common, and the fourth thing will make complete sense to you once I mention it.
Interesting. Okay.
Should we dive right in since
sure,
this is such a stacked episode? Yeah. I think it is
my turn.
It is your turn to start, but yeah. Do you want to tell everyone how this show works?
Yeah, so welcome back to another regular episode. Here we talk about the best thing that we've seen all week. Anything from a show to a movie to even a YouTube video. And yeah, it's always something fairly new that we talk about, something that came out in the last 6 months or so. Usually we have no idea what the other person's picks are going to be. Not this week.
I don't know what your pick is going to be.
Fair enough, but I
know what you
have
mean.
a guess. I have a guess.
You have a guest?
A guest. You're my guest.
Bring him on.
I am still tired. Leave me alone. So it's my turn to start, and I would love to start off with an honorable mention, though, like you said, I'm not 100% sure if this is not going to end up being your pick.
Well, let me start with an honorable that definitely won't be your pick, if that's fine.
Let's go. Yeah.
So, The Tomorrow War.
Ah, yeah, okay.
Right? So, it took me a while, but I finished it. And I'm going to be completely real here. I mean, this took me multiple sittings. And
what does multiple sittings mean? 2?
Well, about 3 or 4. 3 or 4.
Okay, wow, okay.
Yeah. And that is because it is a long-ass movie, like 220, as I've mentioned a couple of times. But it's interesting in the way that it starts quite strong. The middle part of the thing was the tedious one.
Okay. And
the last 30 or 40 minutes actually were quite enjoyable again. But let's not spend too much time on this since we have so much to talk about. But The Tomorrow War, I mean, it's the Chris Pratt movie that's now on Amazon Prime, the biggest movie, I think, currently on Prime. According to, on IMDb, it's got 90,000 reviews already, or ratings already. So a lot of people are watching this, and I actually read that it was supposed to come out in cinemas, but obviously due to COVID, it was sold to Amazon for $200 million.
Wow.
I don't understand how that works. How in the world would Amazon ever get that budget back? How do they make their money? I mean, how many people are going to actively buy an Amazon subscription just for this movie? Do you know what I mean? I'm struggling to comprehend that.
The more new things they can say they put out, the more relevant they seem, the more subscriptions they get. It's not that movie alone. It's a culmination of many different things.
But $200 million, if they spent that money for a couple of movies, let's say, they're in the billions. So how are they ever going to get that back? But I mean, they're one of the most successful companies. I'm sure they have their ways, you know.
And maybe they also got distribution rights for coming, I don't know, video releases on Blu-ray and DVD and I don't know what else.
Yeah.
So maybe.
That's a fair shout. Yeah. That's a fair shout. But The Tomorrow War, it's about Chris Pratt having to save the world, and it really is that. I mean, you won't watch this, as you've said multiple times, and I'm not going to say you should watch this, but it's a nice Sunday watch. That type of movie where you just literally shut your brain off and just enjoy the chaos, because the best thing that this movie's got going for it is actually the action and the alien design, because it is about at some point, people from the future are coming back to the present, and they're telling everyone that in a couple of years' time, an alien invasion is going to take place, and it's basically going to, destroy the world, and you have to come up with a solution now. So they have this technology where they draft people every other, I don't know what it is, week, month, day, I don't remember, where they can actually send them to the future to gather intel, because they've established some sort of time link between the present and the future.
Okay.
And who would have guessed it? But Chris Pratt's character gets drafted in this movie.
What?
Yeah.
I thought he would be the normal guy just in the background.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But I'm sorry to spoil that for you. But he's actually the guy who has to lead the sort of group that comes in, that has to go in. That's and he's got like a military background, and
of course, yeah.
I enjoyed that because it was quite tense. And as I said before, the alien design is actually really, really cool, and it is reminiscent of Alien, the movie, and you could say that. I mean, obviously, every Alien movie had, but if you watch the movie, it's got its nods to Alien and The Thing. So it was good in that way, actually. What were you going to say? Sorry.
Yeah, no, I would just want to say that that's probably the most interesting thing I heard about this movie, because I do enjoy a good alien design,
Yeah,
but
I don't think you would enjoy this movie.
I won't watch it just for that alone. No. But
yeah,
what is it reminiscent of? You just said Alien, because for me they're just two types of aliens, or I categorize them most of the time like that, and either like intelligent aliens with guns, like in, I don't know, Mars Attacks or something like that, or is it more animalistic, like you said in Alien maybe, or in what's it called? Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow.
Yes,
where they're intelligent kinda, but they seem more like animals,
It's 100% the second bit. They are very animalistic.
Okay.
And especially towards the later scenes, you understand why I'm bringing up Alien even more.
Okay.
I don't want to give that away. But hey, what about a J.K. Simmons? Does that entice you to watch the movie?
It does entice other things for me, but
yeah, you look up those scenes.
Yeah,
sure. No, I mean, it's directed by the guy who directed, and get this, the Lego Batman movie. So,
dude, he's stepping up in the world.
I was going to say it seems like a natural progression, right? Chris McKay.
Okay.
Good for him.
Did he do anything else in between?
He did the Lego Batman movie as a director, and let's have a quick look. He's going to do the second one next year, according to IMDb.
Good for him.
And Robot Chicken Star Wars 3.
I have seen that, actually.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding.
I'm not surprised.
I do like Robot Chicken at times.
Yeah, he has directed 46 episodes of Robot Chicken.
Oh, wow, okay.
So, but that's about it. So this is really his, apart from Lego Batman movie, this is his biggest movie, I guess.
Yeah, cool.
And this must have like a huge budget, this movie. So
yeah,
and that
sounds like it.
Yeah, you can see that though. It's got nice elements in it. It really does. It's got like the writing and first of all, the dialogue is mostly horrendous.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird to see now whether it's Chris Pratt failing to deliver the dialogue well, or if it's just terrible dialogue. I think it's a mixture of both. I wasn't a fan of Chris Pratt's performance in this movie at all. It seemed very, very dull and stiff.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe it's just the material that he had. But you watch this movie for something else. And as I said, I mean, towards the end, there were scenes in it that were very tedious, but there were also scenes in it that were actually rather fun and cool. And a special shout out to one actor that I have to look up his name right now, but he's been in multiple things now, and he was the comic relief, but most of his scenes actually were funny. So that's nice to see. He's called Sam Richardson.
Okay.
And
did he start in anything else?
I'm sure, yes, but
or is he quite young still in his career?
No, he's been I'm scrolling through his IMDb right now. That's right. See, there it is. He is in Promising Young Woman as Paul, but he's been in so many shows, and also We're the Millers, and I'm sure you've seen his face before too. But he was actually rather funny in this film.
Interesting. I mean, a friend of ours also talked about this movie when we watched something else together, and he said that towards the end, the movie gets quite silly. Does it ring true for you?
I knew that too. He told me that before I finished it, and I don't quite get that. There were some humoristic elements towards the end, like some one-liners, if you say so, that you could argue are out of place or didn't really deliver. But other than that, no, I don't quite understand what he meant by that.
Interesting, because the way he described it, it sounded like it went way over the top and very stupid on purpose, more in like a parody way, even, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there are certain elements of that, but really, if he hadn't told me this, I would have never pitched it to you this way now. It seems coherent with the rest of it. I mean, it is like because it starts with this infiltration where they have to gather intel. Then it's like a family drama in between, and then it's really like this adventure horror alien film towards the end. So it mixes quite a few genres. Maybe that's what he meant, that it feels like rather different genres within one movie. But it didn't feel like it was like over the top or like silly towards the end. I mean, you know what I mean? Not over the top.
I think so, yeah. It's hard to imagine this movie for me. I just pictured like any other over-the-top action movie. With the poster, I imagine it to be like if the Expendables were in a science fiction
it's not like that
movie. Okay.
No, it's definitely not.
Okay.
But that's it. Let's talk about some other things. If you're interested, it seems unnecessary to say that at the end of the pitch. If it's of interest to you, then go watch it, obviously. But I wouldn't recommend this necessarily. It's okay, you know?
Yeah, fair enough.
What do you got?
So moving on.
Don't take my pick.
It's so hard because there are two things competing for my top spot for the best thing that I've seen all week, and I couldn't decide which one to pick. I think I know which one, but I don't know what to name now as your honorable. And I'm just gonna go out and say Wrath of Man. Is that going to be a pick?
Yes.
Okay, well then let's skip that. And I'm very surprised because I'll talk about another honorable mention of mine this week, which I thought was going to be your pick this week.
You had one job and you stole my pick. It's the thunder's gone. You know what I mean? You stole my thunder.
I'm so sorry. I was so sure that your pick is going to be Loki,
which is not your pick.
No, it's not mine either.
What did you think was mine? I mean, no,
it wasn't. I actually liked the ending. I thought it was better than expected. I thought it might have been the best Marvel show yet, just because of the ending, because it didn't absolutely fuck it up. And it was fine. And I thought you would like it too. I know you didn't love the other thing that we saw, and I thought Wrath of Man would be something that you were like, oh, okay, it's okay, it's fine. But if anything else came along, you would pick that. And I thought Loki was more up your alley, to be honest.
Well, let's dive into this. And I want to, if it's okay with you, I want to do a spoiler special on Loki now.
Let's go, yeah.
Not a separate episode, like right now.
Yeah, sure.
Let's do a spoiler special next week. No. But I think we've talked about Loki before when the first episode dropped.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about it last week that we're both in need of catching up. Which we did, apparently. But let's talk about spoilers now. And if you haven't seen Loki, please check the description for Timecodes. And we'll put it down there once the spoiler section is over. But I'm interested in this. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of this show once I saw like episode 3.
Yeah, I thought
liked the first one.
Might have been the weakest one. To be honest, I actually just got into it with episode 4. I wasn't a huge fan of 1 either. It felt, I don't know, I didn't know what it was going to be, and it didn't like promise anything cool. Like I wasn't looking forward to anything. I didn't know what to expect. And then with episode 2, where they start off at a medieval fest, whatever, in the 80s, I was like, that's funny. At first you think it's the medieval times, and then it's just a festival. But nothing really happens with that. And I don't know, nothing really happens until the 3rd or 4th episode, where you really meet the other variants and the hunt really starts, you know, for me, or the whole predicament, of course, also of what to do. Is freedom more important than maybe saving everything from chaos and stuff like that?
Sure.
Yeah.
I once again don't really know where to begin with this show and talking about certain elements of it, because I can narrow it down why this isn't my pick in 1 or 2 sentences, but I kind of feel like we need to talk about it a little bit more in depth. But basically what it comes down to is I did not enjoy this because I was so sick of this, like, trust me or don't trust me. And then, like, you can trust me. And I'm like, no, you betray every single one of them, but we can make it together if you trust me. Of course. Yeah. I'll trust you. You get betrayed. Then next person, we can do this together. Just trust me. Let me get in this room with him. All right, you can do it. Who betrays him? Of course, that person betrays him. It's the same shit every single episode, and that's what happens if you put Lokis up against each other. Then you put like multiple Lokis against each other, obviously. He's the god of mischief. What the fuck do you expect? But it wasn't fun anymore. I didn't trust any single person in this show. And it was like, of course, whenever a betrayal happened, I was like, yeah, of course, there it is. There's the next one. It was so boring after a while. What do you have to say about that?
Fair enough, yeah. I wasn't like a huge fan of the show, but I liked the ending in the terms of, first of all, some character development for Loki, I guess. And what I liked is the whole thing of the love interest of his, which I was unsure of, but then I thought, okay, fair enough. Who is Loki going to love except for himself? Kind of makes sense.
Kind of creepy,
stupid.
Though.
It's the purest form of incest that I can think of, but
just the perfect amount for Disney Plus.
Yeah. Because I think everybody knows what I'm talking about if you stuck around for the spoiler section. But he of course falls for his female variant of his that he meets,
right,
but
Sylvie,
which I found unnecessary. I thought it would have been just funny to call her Loki,
right,
and to not give her blonde hair. I think it would have made her look more Loki-ish. But whatever, that's not too important, I guess. But I did like some of the choices, especially with like the timekeeper, the one in the end. It did seem like it was actually a big event, and it seems like it was setting up like phase 4 or whatever of the Marvel Universe, because you got so many time themes with, of course, the end of, what's it called, WandaVision, and with the new Doctor Strange coming out not too long from now.
Right.
But yeah, I thought it was cool to have something else coming, and not necessarily one big villain, but the whole concept of, kind of a apocalyptic event. I thought it was cool. I didn't love it. I'm not saying this is the coolest thing that I've ever seen, but at the end of season 1, I was like, okay, fair enough. I could watch another season of this, which, is going to happen.
Yeah. How about in terms of ranking the 3 Marvel shows?
I would put this probably on top because of the ending, but if we just look at the whole shows, I would still pick WandaVision above it. But having a bad ending just leaves a sour taste in my mouth about the whole show.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I see the whole time, and this happens to me about once a year, where I feel like I'm getting a certain episode or movie spoiled, when in the end it turns out that I actually didn't get spoiled. So the day that the 6th episode dropped, I was scrolling through Instagram, and someone posted something saying like, Doctor Strange ?
Okay.
That's all. Right? And I hadn't seen the episode. And I was like, fuck. So Doctor Strange is going to show up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he was the mastermind behind that whole thing. And it wasn't till the episode actually finished where I was like, well, where the fuck is Steven? Right? Because I thought still that the timekeeper, or whatever, I forgot his name already. But
the one who remains.
The one who remains. I thought that was just a variant of Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Which still might be the case. I don't know. But then another different Steven, the same guy who talked about who saw Tomorrow War, he sent me messages of telling me like this is like the new main villain of Phase 4, and this is like one of the huge big villains. And I was you could tell me everything. I have no idea about these kind of this could have been like a side character who's never to be seen again. But apparently he's like the new Thanos. So. So the Doctor Strange thing that I saw must have been like, because you must, I was going to ask you this, did you anticipate it being Doctor Strange 2 without having that spoiled for you?
I was 100% sure that the Timekeeper, one who remains, is going to be a Loki variant, and it's the one Loki that kind of listens to reason or whatever, and this is his whole plan. I thought this was going to be the twist. I was so sure of it.
Okay. So no Doctor Strange then?
No. Nope.
Which makes sense though that it's Doctor Strange, right? He's got the time stone, all of these like the whole like what was it called? Citadel at the end? Was that the word they used?
I have no idea.
This whole building that they were
could
at?
be, yeah.
That seemed very strangey. Also, like from
Sounds
his
adorable.
right from his movie, like the way that his chambers and his whole area where he trains and lives in looks.
Sure, now
I
even
felt
that you say
reminiscent
it,
of
like,
that.
Yeah, like even the outfit that he was wearing kind of reminded me of his robes. Now that you mention it,
Right.
yeah, I didn't even think of this. I guess I should have. For a moment, I even thought like the clock is just a villain. It's just a sentient
The
program.
biggest jump scare in the whole show at the end. I was lucky because it didn't startle me, but I was like, I saw it afterwards on social media that like that was the biggest jump scare. Do you remember that one in the last episode?
Where she suddenly appears in the
In the
Grand
Citadel.
Hall.
Yeah, whatever it was called.
Didn't jump scare me. I
Yeah.
didn't even see it as a jump scare, to be honest.
Well, it is kind of one, right? It's out of
Kind
it's out
of,
of
yeah,
nowhere.
sure, yeah.
It's that annoying voice. No offense.
I liked it. I really liked the voice.
You liked it?
Yeah, it seems so familiar.
Sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. I guess I'm just interested if the movies are gonna start with the whole concept, or if they're gonna bring out season 2 first.
Oh, I don't think that's. I mean, well, I don't think they're even close to shooting season 2, and I think they've shot Doctor Strange already.
Oh, did they?
So I would expect season 2 to be out in a while,
Okay.
not anytime soon. But what the hell do I know? What did you think of all the variants? Like Richard E. Grant. I know you like him, right?
Yeah, but that didn't do anything for me. I was like, I bet that's like the original costume. It's like a little nod to the fans, but I didn't feel like they were Lokis. I thought it was quite unnecessary, especially like one of the big trailers and one of the screenshots that I saw was one of the Lokis in this get up with his crown standing in front of a lot of people, you know,
Right,
he was the leader, he was like the big bad guy, everything. And he makes an appearance in the show for literally like a minute. And I was so disappointed. I thought this could be kind of a cool thing, kind of a war between Lokis maybe.
Yeah.
Like on a grand scale. And then it's kind of a side note and all the other Lokis are just there. And it's pretty much what you said before. It's like, they show up, they betray each other, it's Loki, ha ha ha. And then they see that they're pure of heart or whatever. And so they help him out.
Right.
Because they're heroes after all. And it's like, okay.
I completely agree. I was hoping for more of that Loki.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the Loki that we know, right? This whole show is sort of telling the side of the story of a different Loki, of like, as you said before, like a change of character maybe, which is fine. But I was still longing for the old one in a way. And it was a shame that he was only in for like that short amount of time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I did like Owen Wilson though.
Perfect segue. I was just about to say that, yeah.
Do you hope that he makes a return? Because I really do. That he comes, I know, not even, I'm sure he's going to appear in season 2, but also in maybe one or two of the movies, because I think he's a sweet character, and it's kind of cool to have one of a more normal and down-to-earth character from time to time who is not, I don't know, fucking destroying buildings, but he's just there for being a cute guy and some comic relief.
I think he's perfectly cast. Yeah. And I've said that even when I saw the trailer. I was like, I'm super excited for this guy. But his arc, I was not a fan of. What are we talking about now? So, like Loki has to tell you, spoiler alert, we're in the spoiler section, that the whole TVA is like made of variants or whatever, right? That's the thing. Mm-hmm. They weren't born into it. They were just like abducted, right? Is it made of variants? Am I speaking? Is this right? Am I just?
Yeah.
That's what it was, right? I'd never trust my brain anymore. I think that's what it was. But and then at the end, it's like Loki's telling him like, no, that's what it is, and Owen Wilson's goes like, yeah, good try, yeah, just Loki being Loki again, telling me absolute bullshit. And I think like 30 minutes later, he's like convinced, all right, we'll do this. When nothing happened, he just thought about it for like 10 minutes, and he was like, okay, here we go. The hug at the end because they're best friends. I was not buying this. What are we? This is like, it's such a short series in itself with only 6 episodes. But the jumps in from like episode 5 to 6 are like, take your time. Don't give me that. Don't have him trust everything all of a sudden. He's Loki.
It's very Marvel. You know, it's a 2-hour movie or whatever, and at the end, everybody kind of changes their mind and becomes a adorable person who helps out of the goodness of their heart, you know?
I guess.
It's just the whole concept of the thing, you know. I feel like. Then again, I'm not a huge Marvel fan. Maybe I'm a bit tough on it.
I seem to be tougher on it than you in this case.
Maybe, yeah. Like I said, I didn't necessarily love it. I think it just
Right.
made for an interesting ending in terms of setting up more story and, you know, not just ending very blandly.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
my bar is sunk, so.
I agree. I mean, it is probably the most coherent show of the three.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the ending too. I'm not going to lie. I think it's interesting. And obviously, it's not a surprise where the end or what the ending suggests and what's going to come in the future movies. But it wasn't supposed to be a big surprise, I guess. It's just like they needed something to bridge the gap between the two things, between the single verse and the multiverses, I guess. But
to be honest, yeah, I'm just excited when we get back to the good old classic characters such as Spider-Man.
Such as Black Widow.
Yeah, but she is very much a side character. But
that's controversial, that. Black Widow is a side character? How dare you? How dare you?
Fair. She's a great side character, to be fair, but she's never been like the center of the story until now.
Right. And we'll get to that in a second. I just want to, because I feel like I always want to mention every single actor in these movies and shows. And I failed to do that on the Tomorrow War too, because there's a couple of actors that I missed there. So I apologize for that. But it was nice to see, I'm going to butcher her name, but Gugu Mbatha Raw, I think her name is, who was Ravonna, the one, right?
The judge, whatever her role is. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of hers ever since I saw the movie Miss Sloane with Jessica Chastain. And she's great in that movie, so I was happy to see her in this. And obviously Sylvie, which we mentioned, Sophia Di Martino, I think she's going to be a big part in the MCU going forward.
It seems like it. I Googled her, didn't really know anything that she was in. Badlands I saw, which looked kind of interesting, though not really, I guess.
Badlands?
I think it's called Badlands, right? AMC show. It's got a very tacky looking poster.
She was in Yesterday, wasn't she?
Yes, I see that as well. Who was she in Yesterday, though?
What's Badlands, though? I don't know. I don't remember her.
Sorry. Into the Badlands.
Yeah, that I wasn't hung up on that. I still don't know what... Oh, there it is. Yeah, I see it now.
Is that Nick Frost? Yeah. Nick Frost is in this as well.
Yeah, I have not heard of this.
It looks weird.
Yeah. But I think we're going to see a lot of hers. But let's move on to your pick, right? Or do we have anything else? I think we should.
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
We can move on.
To your pick of the week.
So we're done with the spoiler section. Welcome back for anybody who clicked ahead. And yeah, let's get into my pick of the week, which is Black Widow. The best thing that I've seen all week. Controversial, because I know you didn't like it a lot.
That's absolutely not true. I told you afterwards, I thought both movies that we saw were okay.
Yeah, well, okay.
Right, that's not bad. And upon like a couple of days have passed, and I've got different feelings on both of them now. Not like completely different ones, but you got to let it sink a little bit. I enjoyed myself in the movie. I had a good time watching it. That's about as fair a description I can give it. But you go ahead.
I didn't expect anything more, to be honest. I didn't love it either, to be honest, but I enjoyed it, especially a lot of scenes and a lot of characters, because Black Widow, of course, centers around Black Widow, the character played by Scarlett Johansson, and takes place between, I think, Civil War and Infinity War. Is that correct? I think it takes place after Civil War, right? Because she's still in the run.
Yes, after Civil War and before Infinity War.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And yeah, centers around her for once. And it also, of course, centers around her sister, portrayed by Florence Pugh. And I think she was the absolute highlight of this movie. I am in love with this woman, not just because of her stunningly good looks, but because of her because she's an acting powerhouse. Pretty much everything that I've seen with her was really fucking cool. And even if I didn't love this movie, I loved her performance, to be honest.
Yeah, you're not alone in this, but I think it's kind of sad that everyone's raving about Florence Pugh when it's finally Scarlett's movie.
Yeah, But the sad
no
thing
one's
is,
fault. No one's fault.
It's the same character that we saw before in the MCU, and it's interesting, and it's cool to see a backstory, how she kind of grew up, how she became part of this Black Widow program, I guess, and how she got away from it a bit. But yeah, it was just the same character, but the person who got more of the tragic past was Florence Pugh, and she had way more of the comedic lines, and I don't know, it just seemed more like her origin story than it seemed Scarlett Johansson's. And spoiler alert, Florence Pugh is now going to be, well, just for the sentence, Florence Pugh is going to be in upcoming Marvel projects. And to be honest, that's the fucking best news that I've heard in a long time concerning Marvel, because I'm getting a bit tired of Marvel now that...
You said this for years, by the way.
I know, but since, what's it called? Endgame, thank you. Has wrapped up, I was kind of done with it, It was a great ending. I loved it. But there are a lot of movies out there, and I don't know if I want to keep watching them if, the stakes aren't as high, Sure. Because he was a great villain, and that made the story interesting. But to have Florence Pugh in there maybe a couple of times, I think she could pep it up, because it's cool. They're trying out new characters, throwing him in there, like, and also, of course, like making Falcon into the new, I think we can say this now, into the new Captain America, and, introducing new characters and such. And I think she's a great fucking addition.
Yeah. I love your love for Florence Pugh. Would you, before we talk about this a little bit more in depth, do you want to like give because you're good at those, the quick summary of what this movie's about, and then let's roll a little clip of it?
Yeah, sounds great. So yeah, like I said, it's a bit of the origin story of Black Widow's character, like starting off showing her childhood, and then, of course, being on the run after Civil War and running into her sister, Florence Pugh, who has finally escaped the Black Widow program, and she claims that they're now being mind controlled through chemicals and things like that. And they work together to try and finally put a stop to it. And by doing so, they have to reconnect with some of their old quote-unquote family, their cover family that they had when they were kind of Russian spies, I guess, played by David Harbour and Rachel Weisz, two also great characters in this movie, in my opinion. And yeah, it's their job to take down the villain. What else? And yeah, so here's a little clip of Black Widow.
I tell people my sister moved out west. You're a science teacher. Your husband, he renovates houses. You're thinking about moving, but you're gonna wait until the interest rates go down.
That's not my story. Before I was an Avenger, I made mistakes. And a lot of enemies.
His call sign's Taskmaster. He controls the Red Room. They're manipulated, fully conscious, but no choices.
I should have come back for you.
How many others are there? Enough.
Yeah, that was Black Widow. Yeah, like I said, David Harbour, Rachel Weisz play a big role in this as the parents. And yeah, I think David Harbour was a very fun. It was good comedic relief.
Yeah,
for this show. Show.
Yeah,
movie.
Yeah. It's easy to get confused.
As what's his name? The red
Guardian.
Guardian, right. I mean, what was your take on like the whole comedic aspect of this movie? Because I think the story was overly dramatic, to be honest, for a Marvel movie, but did pull off a lot of good jokes.
I don't think it was overly dramatic, and it didn't strike me as a movie that overdid it on the jokes. Because that has bothered me with like Thor Ragnarok and even Black Panther at times. There were some very unnecessary jokes in it.
To be honest, I don't remember a lot about Black Panther.
Yeah. It's a decent film, but some of the moments felt really out of place, and I never had that with Black Widow, which is a good thing. And I don't share your love of Florence Pugh, but I do feel that I do think she's a great actress, and I feel like because she was also sort of the comic relief at times, and I felt like she did that very, very well. It felt very organic.
I think she had a great delivery of making fun of the whole, some of the Marvel tropes.
Right. The superhero poses and shit. Yeah.
And she did it with kind of a straight face, but I think it worked. And I even liked her accent in a way, which I thought was quite unnecessary because she's got this Russian accent.
Yeah.
Because she's supposed to be Russian, which made no sense to me. Because in the very beginning, you see her as a kid speaking fluent English.
Is it without an accent, though, in the beginning?
It is, because they're like posing as a family in, I think, Ohio. And I am pretty sure it was fluent English, very American English.
David Harbour already have a Russian accent there, too?
I think he's a very American accent as well.
I couldn't be. I can't be sure. I think
it turns into more of a Russian accent when they meet other Russian people, which I was like, in my head, maybe they're speaking Russian, but they're just doing a Russian accent so we, as the viewer, can see it and so then don't have to butcher the language.
Right.
Yeah, I thought it was quite unnecessary. I've mentioned this many times before. I very much prefer the Death of Stalin route, which is, first of all, for Stalin to die, but also for people not to do accents if everybody speaks that language and if they're shown to have spoken fluent English. But I guess it's also part of the comedic effect, especially for David Harbour's character, who plays a very over-the-top guy who is very upset that he was not the next Captain America, like the Russian version of it.
Right.
Yeah.
What we've also failed to mention with Loki is that it's directed by Kate Herron, who did a couple of episodes of Sex Education.
Did she? Didn't know that.
4 episodes of the first season Sex Ed, and Black Widow is now directed by Kate Shortland. So I love that they don't stick with the Marvel directors that they've already worked with. I'm talking about Kevin Feige, and the whole MCU. They keep bringing in new and exciting directors. And Kate Shortland, she directed a movie called Berlin Syndrome. That's the only movie of hers I've seen.
Which you don't like.
Berlin Syndrome?
Am I thinking of something else?
You're thinking of fucking Berlin?
I actually was, yeah.
That's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. But Berlin Syndrome is actually a good movie. I enjoyed it. It's a very, very dark film.
I mean, isn't Chloe Zhao doing Eternals?
Yes.
Yeah.
She is.
And that's it's kind of a big deal, right? Especially now.
For sure, yeah. It was even before she won the Academy Award for sure.
Yeah, right.
Very exciting filmmakers there. But I'm sorry, I just wanted to bring that in because you forgot to mention that with Loki too. But Black Widow, it's interesting. I want to ask you where it ranks in your MCU list. Obviously, I don't want to...
It's too big.
I
couldn't tell you.
No. But top 10? Is that a shout or no?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I gotta revisit the list, but of course, I think pretty much all of the Avengers are above it.
Right.
And also like Civil War. I mean, there are quite a few good ones that I actually really like. I do shit on Marvel quite a bit and say that I'm over it, but then again, there are so many movies that I still enjoy, you know?
Yeah.
But in terms of Marvel villains, I think this movie ranks very low.
You're reading my mind. For the second time, I just wanted to bring up Ray Winston. I enjoyed him as a villain.
I'm not even talking about just him. I mean also like the robotic person that is chasing them.
Taskmaster.
Is it really called Taskmaster?
It's what Steven told me. I believe him.
Yeah, he said that. I thought he was making a mistake, or I just listened with one ear. I thought for a second he was talking about the show Taskmaster.
Don't quote me on this, but that's what he said.
Greg Davis, the Taskmaster is.
That'd be a great villain.
I think he would be great in there, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a character without a lot of personality. It kind of comes across towards the end of the movie.
Sure. I felt like a complete waste, that character. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that character just shows up for a couple of minutes and then beats people up and they're like, oh, that person can learn everybody's moves and mirrors them. That's why he's unbeatable.
Right.
Shows up twice. Didn't even look like that he was mirroring the moves, to be honest. And then it was one more fight and then it was over. And I didn't feel any sense of urgency with that character. There were too few fights and too little character development for that. And then towards the end of the movie, of course, you got to reveal who he is and kind of why he's doing all of this stuff. But that character didn't feel alive. It seemed more like a robot than a character, and it just didn't need to be there, to be honest.
Yeah, but I'm also, I'm sure we haven't seen, I'm sure that character will return. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it could be like, I could imagine like at the end of Phase 4 or whatever.
At the end of Phase 4. Yeah. It's a long while since then, but yeah, till then, yeah. No, I agree. It's a bit of a weird character to throw in, especially if it's supposed to be one of the great henchmen or great side villains in the MCU or in Marvel Comics or whatever. I don't know anything about these kinds of things, but it felt like a bit of a waste. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of great henchmen, characters, whatever, because I feel like I've heard quite a bit, this character it's a big character in the Marvel movies and comics, and I think there's so many out there. I think they can throw them out one per movie and still have enough.
Yeah. But I wanted to wrap this up. I want to talk about Scarlett Johansson, which we should. And
yeah.
I think she is still the star of the film, because I don't revere Florence Pugh as much as you do, maybe. But I still think that I'm so happy that she got this movie, and she's just great in it. And I would be sad not to see her ever again in the MCU. And I think that's a very open thing. Spoiler alert, she won't die at the end of this movie because it's a prequel. You know what's going to happen to her. But, if this is really the end, I feel like it's bittersweet. It's bittersweet. It would be an interesting and a good and a somewhat satisfying ending, but I feel like she's really nailed the character after all these 10 years or however long she's been playing that character. And I think she's great.
Yeah, I think it's nice to find an ending for that character and to kind of show some backstory, because she was quite mysterious for a long time in the MCU. But to be honest, I'm still happy that she is no longer in it, because even though she was good in it, I think she is such an amazing actress. There are just other things that I love to see from her.
Yeah.
And things that she has done since are fucking amazing, and I'm looking forward to even more, because we've done a top 10 list of her movies and she's done some amazing things.
For sure.
So I'm not too sad about it. I think she would have been good in it, but I think it's not completely necessary, because the whole team is kind of revamping and redefining itself. So
for sure, and I'm sad about that too, in a bittersweet way again, because I've grown to love all these characters. But it's good that they go out on a high, I suppose, right? They don't drag it out for too long. And last thing, the post-credit scene, I enjoyed that. I like who shows up. I like where it's going, and I like sort of what is seen on the tablets. If I'm trying to stay vague, I think it's kind of interesting. It could be interesting.
I think it could be interesting, but I have a feeling I know exactly how it's going to end.
Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see.
But interesting enough, it was supposed to come out, of course, before Captain America and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Which has a bit of a tie-in with that show, if you know what to look for.
Yeah, they must have changed that.
Because I think that certain person would have been their first appearance if it hadn't been.
Yeah.
For another show.
I think they added that post-credit scene way I don't think that would have been part of the original release.
You think so?
Black Widow. I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think
maybe.
Right. We're going long. Let's talk about my pick of the week, the best thing I've seen this week. And this is, it's not really a surprise, because none of the three things that I saw this week, other than that, blew me away. I enjoyed all three of them in some degree. But the more I think about Wrath of Man, the more I really like that movie. This was a sneak film that we saw together this week.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know when that's out. Is that out this week? I hope it is.
No, I think it comes out in 1 or 2 weeks. Didn't we see it to come out, I don't want to say anything wrong, July 29th, 28th?
Yeah, that could be right.
Towards the end of the month. Anyway.
But that's not as far away as some of the other sneak movies, so I'm happy to talk about it now. And since you've seen it too, we can have a little discussion about it. So, Wrath of Man, it's the new Guy Ritchie film starring Jason Statham, and I don't think you need to know much more than that, because you kind of know what to expect from that. These guys have worked together multiple times, and whenever I see Guy Ritchie's interviews, I just don't find him sympathetic at all. But I have to praise him this week. I really like that movie, man. We talked about The Gentleman in one of our early episodes, where we talked about Ritchie's return to sort of the genre that he's most known for. He follows that movie up with another one. I mean, Wrath of Man fits right into that kind of category. It's not really about gangsters, but it is that crime. I mean, I guess he always does crime movies in a way.
Yeah, but this time it was more serious than the others, I feel like, because like Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels, Snatch, and of course also Gentleman was in a way funnier, way more ridiculous, and way more comedic relief than this movie had.
Yeah, that's a very good observation. Yeah, I agree. And the trailer for this film is horrendous.
Is it?
But only because it shows... No. Only because it shows way too much. I hadn't seen it before, which I was happy about. I saw it now, and it gives away way too much. But I'm going to play a little clip of it now, and I'm not going to... I'll just play the first, I don't know, however many seconds, and I won't include the parts that you don't need to listen to. So this is the great things we offer for you. Please don't watch the trailer, but to give you a little feel for this movie, we will show you we will play the first like 60 seconds of it, because those don't give away anything. So Wrath of Man, Jason Statham, he starts working at a cash truck company, and you really don't know anything about Jason Statham's character in this. You see like a what would you call that in the first scene where they take over a cash truck? It's sort of robbed.
Of a kind of a heist scene.
Yeah, kind of a heist scene, but you don't know any of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
And once that scene is over, you get to meet Jason Statham, who applies at a cash truck firm. And he's got all this training, and he basically is very average, and he only passes with like 70%, which is just enough to get the job. And a nice face in there was Holt McCallany.
Holt
McCallany, the Mindhunter himself, as sort of his boss in a way, or like his the guy who's been there longest, and sort of the guy who shows him the ropes.
Mm-hmm.
And they start working together, and gradually you get to know Jason Statham's backstory. And I think they've done that in a very, very interesting way, because I tried not to sort of guess what was going to happen. I tried to stay dumb and just have the information thrown at me. And I was hooked, man. I enjoyed this immensely, I should say, because it makes complete sense. And even the even small scenes in the beginning make a lot of sense with the knowledge that you gain halfway through the film. So without giving away anything, we're going to play a little clip of the trailer. A clip that won't give away too much. So here's a little clip for Wrath of Man.
We have a new addition. May I introduce H?
Cash trucks can be dangerous.
You got your fucking friend.
They're serious!
Leave this to me.
Throw the money in the flatbed.
Just do what he says. See, you're gonna get killed! Who is this fucking lunatic?
Who'd you work for?
Suck my fucking dick.
What did you say?
I said...
We need a different approach, boss.
It's not any of the usual suspects. What do you want me to do?
I can do in 2 weeks. What you only wish you could do in 20 years.
Right. So, would you agree that you did not like this movie, right?
I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it just because it is that kind of action movie that I've talked about before. It's not for me. It's one guy being ultra fucking cool, shooting a lot of guns, which is interesting for a while, but gets old quick. Right. And I always say this, I fucking love Mad Max Fury Road, and it's 2 hours of people shooting guns and driving cars.
Yeah, of course.
So, yeah, I think what was interesting about this movie was kind of how the story was told in kind of a non-linear way, and kind of revealing things gradually to kind of give you more context. But what kind of drove over the edge for me as not a good movie was the ending and the reveal of one of the characters.
Right.
And I thought that came out of nowhere and was
really?
So unnecessary, yeah.
I didn't think it came out of nowhere because I was expecting that to happen, and I didn't really care about it. I was hoping for kind of a bigger reveal.
Right.
But then again, trying to stay vague here, but there can only be so many options, right? It had to have been one of a few things, right? You know, can you follow what I'm saying?
I suppose so. Yeah, sure. But I don't know. It was just such a complete change of character all of a sudden.
Right. But I kind of liked it that it wasn't a reveal in the sense of now I'm completely a different guy and a per se bad guy, because we're treading and like this is gonna be, but. Oh no, I don't know how to say this without giving anything away. I didn't think it was like a complete turn in that way, because the relationship that was developed throughout the movie was real in a way. They did grow to like each other, and that didn't change towards the end. You know what I mean?
I suppose, yeah.
Right, there were some warnings and some heads up, and this is gonna happen, so don't freak and shit. Bum bum. They didn't have to say that, you know.
Sure.
But it stars also Josh Hartnett, who hasn't been in movies recently. I was so happy to see him in something again.
I like him. Yeah.
I like him too.
He seems like a cool actor.
Right.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite shots in the whole film, and that's in the trailer too. The first time you get to see sort of I would argue, the main villain of the film, even though he is not like the mastermind behind the whole thing, but there is one character that is really like the biggest asshole of them all. And there's a shot of him like where you just see his eyes.
Right.
And I had forgotten by that point that actor was going to be in it, because it's obviously in the credits in the beginning. I love that. It was so menacing too. I hated that guy instantly. So I was, I felt for Statham.
Yeah, fair enough. But I thought Jason Statham wasn't a very, not like a relatable guy, but a guy that I was rooting for necessarily, because one of the very early scenes, because, Jason Statham, like I said, he doesn't come across as the most capable guy in the beginning, kind of, but you feel like he is Jason Statham. Like he is in most of his movies. I mean, he's a fucking badass who shoots guns and stuff like that.
Right.
And you see that in one of the scenes where he kind of finally shows himself like for what he is, which is a fucking killing machine apparently.
Yeah.
And kills a lot of guys. One of them who's very defenseless actually. And he's kind of portrayed as fucking badass. So he's killing all the bad guys. And call me a fucking tree hugger, but I thought that was kind of the wrong message, showing him how cool he is. It seems so American, like Guy Ritchie is the American, but still, like, oh yeah, he people are trying to steal money, so fuck them. They shot first, so let's fucking execute all of them. Like,
right.
There's no fucking death penalty for that.
But you enjoyed Nobody. That's just kind of right.
Yeah, but that's so fucking stupid, and I kind of get on board with it, because that's
what is stupid now.
Nobody isn't taking itself as serious.
I disagree.
And he doesn't execute anybody there, does he?
Okay, fair enough. He's like Batman in a way, doesn't kill people. No, but I think this is where we differ. Dude, my blood was pumping in those action scenes. And the first time Statham goes mental and just kills everyone, and the way it was shot, like this precision type of shooting, where it's just like one shot, bang, killing Post Malone, by the way, spoiler alert, which isn't. But I don't know why Post Malone is in all of these action movies now. And nothing against him, sure. He was also in Spencer Confidential or whatever.
Yeah.
Does he? I mean, sure.
I'm sure the fans appreciate it.
Sure. But what it boils down to for me is Wrath of Man is one of these like old school gun action movies where it's just like fucking mayhem, and I was totally on board with it. I remember distinctly there's a moment towards the end where, spoiler, there's a shootout. And I was just like, I was in it, because I remember, I contradict myself too at times. I was like, I'm sure in different movies like John Wick, I was complaining about the fact that it was just constant gunfire. But the way this was shot, I was just completely in it, and I was like, all right, give me more. And it's a weird, I can't quite put it down to what it is or why that is, but it just, the stakes felt high in this, and I liked the way the action was shot. And I liked also, I gotta say, I liked the ending. They could have done a bit more, especially with that phone at the end, which I liked that they used it in that way, but then again, it felt like quite unnecessary too. I mean, I know why they did it, but they could have done maybe a bit more with that. And yeah, I don't know, man. This did it for me for whatever reason, because I'm not even the biggest Statham fan or Guy Ritchie fan, but the whole mystery element of it, and certainly actors that that I enjoy, with Josh Hartnett and also Eddie Marzan and obviously Holt McCallany and who else is in this? Oh, Jeffrey Donovan, dude, I love Jeffrey Donovan. He will always be the guy in Hitch for me. He's in Hitch the Date Doctor. He's a complete asshole who wants to hook up with Eva Mendes' best friend.
Okay.
He's also one of the he's the main bad guy, or the
Jackson. Does he play
mastermind.
Jackson? Is his name Jackson? It is
It
Jackson.
is Jackson.
Jeffrey Donovan. Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh, and Andy Garcia too, obviously.
In a
With
very
just
small
very
role.
small
What-
role. Ever since Passengers, he just shows up. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I feel like he doesn't act. He just does fucking cameos now and rakes in millions.
I was gonna say he's gonna cash in for sure. But yeah, I don't want to. I think I've said enough. This won't be for everyone, but this is the movie that I enjoyed, or the thing that I enjoyed the most in this week, and I can say that with certainty now that I thought about it a couple of times. I've actually gone back to watch certain scenes on YouTube, and I don't know what it is, but this one did it for me. So that's my pick of the week.
Sure, fair enough. Yeah. I guess it could be more of your movie than it is mine. I was just surprised that you preferred it over, like I said, Loki, because I thought you were really looking forward to this. And yeah.
I was looking forward to it, but Loki, for the reasons that I stated, didn't really do it for me.
Yeah,
But
fair enough.
Once again, or then again, neither of the 4 films or 4 things we talked about today I thought were bad. I enjoyed them all, but Wrath of Man I enjoyed the most.
Fair enough. Yeah, and
That's
with
it.
that we've got a pretty fucking stacked episode.
Yes, 100%.
I don't think we have time for another Last Man Standing, although we kind of need to do one soon to kind of erase the memory of that abysmal performance of ours.
I disagree with certain comments and what you just said. I completely agree with Jeff Goldblum. That was horrendous. But Michael Cera, we didn't embarrass ourselves.
Was okay.
We did not embarrass ourselves.
He wasn't the best Last Man Standing person to do it on, because, like I said, like doing I don't know, Tom Cruise, Spielberg, or I don't know, Will Smith just gives you more options and maybe makes it a bit more interesting also to listen to, maybe.
Yeah.
But I've read that comment just before we started recording.
Yeah. It's difficult under the lights, but you could ask me now about Jeff Goldblum movies, and I couldn't tell you any more than I did last week. So, yeah, I mean, if you don't want to do it, that's fine. I understand. We've been going long, but yeah, obviously next week is a special episode.
I have actually watched one thing
For that special
thing
episode?
For that.
Yeah, I still need to get around to doing that, because it's. I tried to prepare for it, and I've sort of looked into it, what I need to watch and rewatch, and it's going to be a very, very, very difficult list to put together.
Yeah,
Very
I
difficult.
think I am pretty close to one, and I watched one thing and I really enjoyed it, and then I saw that person did another movie with that same director, and I was like, okay, let's check this out as well, and I'm getting into it.
Was this a recent film?
Somewhat, yeah.
This won't be a spoiler. You can tell me if it's within the last 2 or 3 years.
I'm not even saying this to not make a spoiler. I'm just not completely sure.
You're not
I
sure.
think
Right.
it was 2018, 2019.
Gotcha.
Not 100% sure.
Gotcha. I think I know what you're talking about, because I know directors that she had. Oh,
Ooh, I mean, yeah, we've got a pattern. I think you you could have figured
it
out.
could have
was
been a
she.
genre or whatever,
Fair. Well, I said that person.
You did. But I think I
Anyway.
know of certain directors she's worked with a couple of times. So I think I know what you're talking about, but we'll talk about this a little bit, or obviously a lot more in depth next week.
Yeah.
But
Looking forward to it.
yeah, until then, have a good week, everyone. Let us know what you thought of all this Marvel goodness that we get to enjoy these days. What's the next Marvel thing? Do you know?
Hawkeye is coming out
Hawkeye is the next
this year, but I don't think it's the next one. I think Eternals or something Rings is coming out. I forgot their name. Don't
Yeah.
shame me.
I'm going to look up what the next one's going to be while you do your signing off.
Yeah, so thank you so much for listening in once again. It's been a blast. Check us out on any podcast platforms, be it Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, etc. Consider dropping a like. Consider checking us out at Best Thing Radio on Twitter and Instagram. Flo is going to design once again one wonderful thumbnail for this episode, which you can check out on Twitter, Instagram, and of course on YouTube. Yeah, like I said, consider dropping a like, subscribing, dropping a comment. What you think of all this, like you said, Marvel goodness. Maybe a guess on who you think we might be doing the next special on. I'm excited what people can come up with. And yeah, consider having a great day. I don't know.
But consider it.
Don't do it. Just
consider.
Cook something good. I made some amazing burritos before I took my nap. It's been a pretty good day so far. Have a great day.
Don't say bye just yet. You were absolutely right. Black Widow, July 9th. And the next one is going to be Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
I knew it was an S sound.
That's going to drop in September, followed by Eternals in November.
Oh, really?
So,
in November?
Yep. And then in December, we got Spider-Man, the one I'm really looking forward to.
Oh, that's this year as well.
We got 3 more MCU things coming up this year.
Christ. And yeah, I think Hawkeye, I saw it was 2021, but it doesn't have a release date yet. So maybe they're going to push it to 2022.
It says here Hawkeye and Miss Marvel are going to drop late 2021. So whenever that's going to be.
Miss Marvel as well. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we're getting... I mean, obviously, What If is also out. Oh, no, sorry, that's going to be out next. That's the next thing.
Yeah, that's not out yet. Yeah,
August. That is the next thing. What if? Yeah. We're just diving into the MCU again. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ.
Dude, I've started to get burned out already.
Yeah. What if we don't watch them? You see what I just did? I just said what if? Yeah.
Well, that's
consider having a good day. I don't know. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.